What up, anybody, and welcome to the new episode of the SVR podcast. Welcome back, everybody, aboard to the SVR podcast. It's been a while since we haven't done the episode of SVR podcast. I was very busy on my plate. I apologize to everybody in here that wonder where is SVR podcast return. Anywho, for this episode, this is going to be a little different here because obviously for the second time in a row, we have someone who I actually interviewed once, and he spoke Arabic, even though I didn't understand jack shit. But for this time around, this is going to be a little different here. So let me introduce you first. First, we have our boy from Kuwait, or however it's pronounced, Yeet. Welcome aboard to the SVR podcast, man. How you doing?
قول ما قصرت. السلام عليكم.
He says hello. He's happy to be here.
And then we have the guy who used to be general manager of JW Battlezone. He is Fizo Apoth. Welcome aboard, man, to the SVR podcast. How's it going?
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm here today to help out Eid. Get things going, translate the stuff for him, just so this can get chained together, and we don't get a trouble like the last episode where he was in.
So what I'm gonna do is basically asking Eid 10 questions in regards about Roblox wrestling, how he has evolved over the years, and Fizo Apoth will imply to everything that Eid is saying within the enters, even though for those who are not Arab, I'm sure Fizo will imply to, like I said, everything that Eid's saying from his understanding. So without further ado, are you guys ready?
نعم.
Yeah.
All right. First question is very self-explanatory here. So, Eid, after 2 years or 3 years, I believe, you went out at MPS, right? And you basically just had this exchange of your mind state. Be like, you know what? I'm out of MPS. I want to go back to where I was born with, what I'm capable of showing what I got, to push myself in the limits and keep achieving goals within this genre of so-called Ro wrestling, aka Roblox wrestling. So the question is, Eid, why did you had to change your mind returning to Ro wrestling?
عيد السؤال ان هو ليه بعد 2-3 من MPS انت قررت دلوقتي ان انت بترجع للروسينج؟ ايه اللي خلاك تغير رأيك من انت كنت واحد بتحب تلعب MPS قوي للدرجة ودلوقتي انت رجعت للروسينج، ودلوقتي انت شغال في الروسينج اكتر؟
الله يقول يعطيه العمر السلامة. يقول ان زهقت منها كذا. يقول اني زهقت منها، والله ودي اجرب هذا، فهمت؟ الرسلينج، فهمت علي؟ ودي اجربه بس تجربة عشان بشوف، بس زهقت. ما عندي، اقول له ما عندي لعبة، بس بلعب بس عشان وناسة فقط، لا غير ولا اكثر.
Yeah. So basically what Eid said is that I think he thinks that he felt like it's time to move on and try something else. He wants to push himself in wrestling, and I feel and he felt like it was time to move on, and this new thing that he's been trying, he's been taking a liking to it, so that's why he has decided to stick with wrestling and just be in wrestling in general now.
تجرب الكوميونتي بس.
Yeah, just to test it, just trying out the community and how it is, and just to stick with it. see if he can stick with it.
I mean, nothing against MPS or anything, but I think MPS is just a worthless genre of the whole product itself. The reason why I'm saying this is because I don't think MPS equalized the quality of what Roblox wrestling is now. Because you got other people get signed into Roblox wrestling, and then they got pushed over, went to MPS, and then you got boxing thing going on here. That's how you know that what sticks to them the most is wrestling, because they love it. They want to go wrestling because it's fun to them. Moving forward to second question. So this is coming to after you just came back to Raw Wrestling. You have started to take your time and practice and try to improvise how your timing is right, how you achieve the goals of digital titles, and how you're aspired to be in this community in the first place. So how has Raw Wrestling shaped your goals and aspirations?
بص يا عيد، هو ازاي الرو رسلينج شكل اهدافك وطموحاتك؟
قول له عشان يعني كل ما اخسر حلو شيء جديد يطلع لي، فهمت عليك؟ يعني شيء جديد يطلع لي، هدف جديد كذي، طموحاتي تزيد كل ما اخسر، فهمت علي؟ يعني كل ما اخسر حلو نفسيتي تكون يعني تزيد معنوياتي عشان اقدر فاهم علي يعني؟ بس قول له.
Okay, so basically what Eid is trying to say is that every time he loses, he tries to learn from his mistakes to better himself and make sure that every losing experience comes up with a positive. No matter what the result is, he wants to come up with a positive out of the result. If he loses, he learns from that and moves on and pushes further, improves himself. I think that's what he's trying to, tell, is that he wants to push himself to his limits and, just learn from any mistake he does and learn from any losses he takes. That's it.
That's true, man. Especially for me. Like, I also had this mindset too, where even if I lost my prime and I was not as supreme, well, I was supreme before, but 2017 was the prime. We get into that in another story of the next SVR podcast. We can talk about that. But anyhow, yeah, I feel you on that, man. I think what matters the most is just have fun and just enjoy every moment that you can have in Roblox wrestling. Anyway, third question. So you had a lot of moments in Roblox wrestling where it could be considered as one of the glorifying ones that you ever have accomplished in the community itself. So especially for example, storylines, matches that you have been involved in, and any of that. So what is your glorifying moment you have ever done in Raw Wrestling?
بص سعيد، هو دلوقتي بيسأل ايه احسن لقطة، ايه احسن لقطة حصلت لك في الرسلينج، ايه اللقطة اللي ايه شايفها احسن حاجة حصلت لك في الرسلينج؟
احسن لقطة ولا احسن فوزة؟ في فرق.
ممكن تقول حاجة زي الاثنين يعني، فممكن تقول الاثنين.
قول له افضل لقطة يعني تبي الصراحة، قول له ان يعني في لقطات واجد، يعني انا شوف، قول له ان انا ما فرق بين اللقطات، يعني مثلا اللقطة هذه اقوى من هذه، لا ما فرق. قول له انا عادي كذي ما اتحق لقطات، يعني مثلا انا خلاص انا جبت مثلا وورد تشامبيون حلو، لقطة زينة لي. مثلا جبت انا شيء ثاني امريكان تشامبيون، اوكي، هذا لقطة، يعني لقطة نفسها حلوة، أنا ما راح أقول خايسة، يعني يعني استغفر يا ربي، يعني استغفر الله،
مش فارقه اللقطه يعني كله زي
اي مو
بعض يعني.
فارقه يعني مو فارقه
مم.
حيل. يعني هذه يعني تخليك دفعه، فهمت علي؟ تعطيك دفعه
اه
بنفس الوقت ذكرى، فهمت؟ بس
okay. So basically what Eid here is trying to say is that there's not really a moment that stands out for Eid. For him, every moment stands out. Every moment counts. Every moment for him is the best one, because it doesn't matter if he wins the World Championship at Sunfed or the United States Championship at Sunfed. Both of them are big moments, because these moments for him are what pushes him forward. Those are what motivates him. So for him, these moments are all in an equal terms, because they all give him the same push further. That's what he was trying to tell.
Well, I mean, it could be anything relying on storylines and stuff. Because I asked a lot about wrestlers that I interviewed with. It was their best moment they ever had, and they told us like a whole different story about why they consider that as one of the best moments they ever had in their career for sure. But I can understand he wanted to say like one thing that stands out the most. It's okay. I appreciate that though. Fourth question. Now, this is a little tricky here because when you're becoming known, you got all this and everything you have. You got fan base, you got you got everyone that is on your corner, you got everyone that supports you, and you become something that you're known for. However, does relevancy and fame equal like every ability that you do in wrestling, the skills?
So عيد هو دلوقتي بيسأل هل الشهرة والمعرفة في الرسلينج هل بتساوي المهارات بتاعتك بالنسبة لك يعني ما رأيك في هذا الفكر يعني في الرسلينج؟
شوف الشهرة أنا ما أهتم لها، بس المعرفة أهتم لها. نقول له أنا ما حتى لو إني أنشر، حتى لو إني أوصل حلو أشهر واحد، قول له ما أهتم. يعني أنا حدي متواضع، حتى لو إني أوصل قمة متواضع، أنا ما أفرق بأحد، قول له كذي. أما المعرفة قول له عادي، المجتمع نفسه ما عندي مشكلة معاه. يعني مثلا هذا رفيجي عادي، ما يحس شيء طبيعي، فهمت علي؟ قول له كذي.
So basically here what Eid is trying to say is that for him, he doesn't think that fame and relevancy doesn't equal the skills. He would rather be the quote unquote top guy, like someone with the best skills, but be like the most modest or humble person you ever meet. He'll talk to anybody, and for him it doesn't really matter. So for him, he always favored the skill over the fame, and he doesn't think that they should be on equal terms. In terms of maybe like your skills shouldn't fully determine your relevance to your fan. So that's his point of view.
Fair enough. So, next question. Now, this is just like other podcast episode where I basically ask people's top fives and what's the best for them and shit like that. Like in terms of a technicality of being technical as a wrestler. Like you got the skills, you got and character, like to showcase your character and shit like that. Now this is different because I would say the term underrated, it means something like being underappreciated by the community. You don't get as much recognition as it used to be. Like not a lot of people recognize as well your talent and stuff. So Eat, can you tell me like your top five underrated pro wrestling superstars of all time in terms of technical and character work standpoint?
بص عيد SVR هنا بيسألك ايه بالنسبة لك الخمسة رولسلرز اللي هم ايه يعني مش معروفين قوي يعني بالناحيتين، من ناحيه السكيلز بتاعهم بالمهارات بتاعتهم والشخصيه الجيمك بتاعتهم.
اوكي فاهم قصده، بس يلا. المهم 5 صح؟
5.
اوكي شوف رقم 5 حلو. كليب، عرفته؟
So the first one is infamous Caleb.
قول رقم 5 مو اول واحد.
Number okay, so for him, number 5 is infamous Caleb.
اوكي بعدها اوسم. لا مو اوسم استغفر ربي. لا اغي شو اسمه هذا تبن. لحظة عطني وقت. يقدر يوقف الحين ولا قول له خليه يسوي كات؟ يقدر؟ الو
I think yeah, I think Eid needs a bit of time to answer this question.
Hey, take your time, Eid.
اوكي 4 لوتشي.
Number 4 from is Lucci.
3 كيلين هنري، عرفت عز الكويتي.
Callan Henry. Alan, Alan. He's talking about Alan Henry. Alan Ace, if you know him. SVR.
Yeah, I know him. Yeah, I heard him.
بعد منه زلو.
Zerlo, number 2.
قول له خليه يسوي نمبر 1 يوسف.
And number 1 will go to
Yusuf.
Jake Ziegler.
يا أو
Or
بيست كاستينو.
Oh.
So for number 1, he picks either Beast Castino or Jake Ziegler.
So like from the technical character standpoint, right? Like both these categories.
بالنسبة للناحيتين صح عيد؟
اي بناحية الكاركتر اي بس ما ادري والله، بس انه كلهم زينين. قول له ان هذا ما فرق بينهم ترى، بس توب 5 هذا. قول له ما فرق بينهم. قول له
اوكي
عشان
هذا
شو.
okay. They are, but he doesn't really have any differences in terms of technical and character standpoint. So this is just his overall top 5 underrated wrestling superstars of all time.
Well, let's roll on to 6th question. Now, coming from you as the character being Eat Castino, right? People are just like wondering, like and you've been like thinking, like, oh wait. But I feel like I need to fit into being a villain character. But see, the thing is, you're not really. To be a villain character, you're supposed to be more convincing and believable. Some people just like, label you as a good guy for I don't know what reason, just that. But I do have a question that relies on your role as the gimmick that you have being Eat Castino. Would you rather play a role of a good guy or a bad guy? And tell me why.
بص سعيد، هو دلوقتي بيسألك هل انت لو خيارتك هل تحب تبقى شخص كويس ام شخص شرير، وبعد كده قول سببك ليه.
كشخص كجيمك صح؟ اوكي شوف انا بالنسبه لرايي يعني كيميك مالي الصراحه ما ادري والله، بس انه تقدر تقول عنه انتي هيرو، بس انه بس انه يعني في خباثه، بس انه طيب تناقض. فهمت علي؟ فهمت هذا الجيميك مالي. هو طيب بس انه خبيث بس.
طب ليه بقى؟
ما ادري والله، عارف عارف اضبط هالشيء.
Okay. So Eid prefers to actually be a tween, in between. To him, it doesn't it's just because he just prefers to be a tween. a tweener, not a good guy completely or a bad guy completely.
قلنا يعني شوي bad guy فهمت شوي مو حيل.
Yeah, he a little bit of a bad guy here, but just not fully bad.
اي بالضبط عنده ضمير فهمت. ايه.
That's what Eid was trying to say.
Seventh question. So this one is an obvious one because there's been a lot of people that have learned their lesson in their life from mistakes and from how they got involved in their time of they've grown up over the years, and they realize some of the things that they have accomplished doesn't really mean anything that much. But in a positive way, what I could say is, what are some of the most valuable lessons life has taught you so far?
بص يا عيد، هو دلوقتي SVR بيسألك ايه أهم الدروس المستفادة من الحياة اللي علمتها لك لحد دلوقتي.
دروس حياة علمتني.
ايه الدروس المستفادة من الحياة اللي انت اتعلمتها لحد دلوقتي؟
تعلمت ان كان اشرح لك انت. والله تبي الصراحة تعلمت ان هالحياة هذه ما غير الا استغفر ربي. يعني حياة 50 سنة 60 سنة أنت ميت خلاص. أنت حياتك انتهت. فهمت علي؟ تعلمت إن يعني شلون أفهم نظرة، يعني شلون أعرف حكمة ربي. يعني شوف المجتمع، أشوف الناس، أشوف هذا غير هذا غير هذا غير، هذا يؤمن بشيء هذا يؤمن بشيء هذا يؤمن بشيء. أشوف إنه شلون حكمة ربي. فهمت علي؟ يعني سبحان الله على ما شو اسمه عما ما يشركون. فهمت؟ يعني أنا قاعد أشوف يعني أنا فاهم إن أنا لو أسوي كل شيء حلو وأكلم ناس وأسوي ناس، تعال أنت ساعدني العالم كله يساعدك، أعطاك الفلوس هذه عادي يوم الثاني بتنحرق. ليش؟ لأن ما في شيء لا ينفعك إلا ربي. فهمت علي؟ أو أن الناس كلها ضدك حلو، يكرهونك كره ما فلوس لا شيء، بس سبحان الله يجيك شيء يغير 180 درجة. فهمت علي؟ هذا قصدي. ونفس الوقت يعني أنا قاعد أشوف أن يعني صراحة في حكمة بالحياة. أنا قاعد أطال نظرتي في حكمة حيل، يعني أشوف. فاهم علي؟
So this one's a bit of a doozy, so I'll have to kind of crunch it up a little bit, summarize it for everyone's viewing pleasure. What Eid was trying to convey is that, in life, you can have a lot of friends, and in life, you can have a lot of enemies. Everyone can be your friend, everyone can be your enemy. It just depends on if you sometimes have specific resources that they need, because sometimes, friends may not be actually friends, they want, what you got.
لا هذا مو قصدي، بس يلا هذا مو قصدي.
Or maybe like
قصدي إن حكمة الله.
Just the fact is that money isn't everything in life. I think that's what the mainline message of this.
لا مو mainline، حتى الماني ما اهتم له. أنا قصدي إن حكمة ربي يعني مثلا يعني أنا أشوف صراحة يعني الحياة هذه شو أقول لك اختبار حق الإنسان.
اوكي
تختبر يعني الله، يعني ربك يختبرك. يلا يا فلان يلا هذا اختبارك، شو بتسوي؟ تسقط تروح جهنم، تنجح تروح جنة. فهمت؟
اوكي انا فهمت.
يوريك الناس اسمع، يوريك الناس ان هذا غير هذا غير هذا غير، هذا يؤمن بشيء هذا يؤمن بشيء هذا يؤمن بشيء. فهمت؟ وانت تشوف حكمة ربك. شفت شلون
So the actual translation, I apologize, is that what he's learned through life is that all of it is just a test. It's just an exam to see what is going to happen after your life. Where will you go after life? This is all what we're doing is a test in our lives to see how where will we go afterwards in the afterlife. This is what Eid has been talking about. Pretty much that's the summary of what you've been asking.
That's a little deep, but because everybody's not perfect, and obviously, and everybody learned from their mistakes. But there's times when it's like, be careful who you trust with. You don't have to fall from their tricks.
Yeah.
But moving forward to 8th question.
قول اي قبل لا يبدا قول له عيد بس يتمنى شغله واحده قول له عيد يتمنى شغله واحده بس شغله واحده ما يبي لا فلوس تعطيني مليون دينار حلو قول له كذي قول له عيد يتمنى يسوي شغله قبل لا يموت حلو شغله خير فيها خير فهمت شغله ترضي ربي فحسن خاتمه.
So Aid just wants to say that before he dies, he wants to do something that is charitable, something that makes affects his what happens after life, and to just be closer to God, or just for God to love him. This is what he just wanted to say.
No, I had to just say moving forward because I don't want this to get a little too deep, because this was only one time question I was asking from general standpoint here. But moving forward to 8th question, back to the pro wrestling related, of course, it's fun. Now, I have asked this multiple times to several pro wrestlers, and some of them they had like a fair share amount of feuds that they wanna create with these big that's top of a notch wrestlers, like for example Victor Stiddy, Sign Logic, and anybody who is still relevant to this day, who is still kicking ass. Now, from your whole point of view, Eat, I know there's a few picky superstars out there that you really want to have a match with so bad that you kind of feel a little inspired towards the wrestlers who have came before. So, do you have a mind of a Raw wrestler that you want to face in a dream match with? Doesn't matter which fed, doesn't matter which stipulation, as long as that it's acceptable and it's meaningful and it has a motive why it should be qualifying as a dream match. You guys are good to go.
عيد بيسألك لو انت عندك ماتش خيالي عايزه، يعني ماتش انت بتحلم بيه عايزه يحصل، عايز تلعب مين معين في رولستنج؟
الصراحه يعني ما عندي احد معين، بس انه هدفي واضح. حتى لو تعطيني اعضل واحد بحاول ضده. هدفي يعني هدفي واضح، حتى لو اني اخسر ضده يعني انا ما اهتم. فهمت علي؟ يعني انا اهم شيء هدفي اوصل له، بس حتى لو تعطي اعضل جيب اقوى واحد. فهمت علي؟
So
لحظه خلينا نتكلم. فهمت؟ يعني حتى لو معضل، من كثر انه معضل انا ما اقدر له عادي، خسرت ضده ما عندي مشكله، اتعلم. بس انه شيء معين، يعني شخص معين ما اعتقد ان عندي واحد. فهمت علي؟ ما اعتقد ان عندي واحد، لان انا صح ان وجهه نظري كلهم يلعبون نفس الشيء، بس كلهم نفس الشيء بس.
So Eid here says that he doesn't really have a particular opponent in mind. He wants he thinks everyone is just at an equal level because anyone can beat anyone. As long as it doesn't matter who he faces, as long as he can reach his goals and can learn from this battle, whether it's a win or lose. That's what he wants to say.
I mean, some wrestlers do matter who they face because they really want to, capitalize their level of what they at now. Like, you got guys like Invictus Diddy, who is very inspired to most of us in the community, which pretty much every popular wrestler you know from now have their limits of setting us up. You do you eat as long as you do what's right and do exactly where you want to become where you're at. You are good to go. Even if those popular wrestlers they don't want you to face, that's okay because you have other wrestlers that you have to worry about for sure. Next question. There's been a lot of times where people had a bad time of trying to do something right, for do something good, and specifically what I'm saying here is there's a part of you that is kind of holding you back, that doesn't want you to do. If anything, Eat, what's one thing that is holding you back in pro wrestling?
ايه عيد حاجة معينة ممكن تكون شدك لورا في الروليسلينج، ايه اللي مثلا يكون موقفك ان انت يعني تعلي في مستواك مثلا يعني في الروليسلينج؟
يعني هو بقصد شيء انا قلتها من البدايه، الخساره هي اللي تصنع الفوز. الخساره حطها بين قوسين تصنع الفوز. اذا انت كل ما خسرت ضد اقوى الناس، خسرت يعني زققتها سنه خسره. حلو معاي انت.
اه
جينا يوم الثاني شفت قاعد افوز ليش؟ لان تعلمت شنو خطأي، فهمت علي؟ هذا الشيء اللي حيل رفعني. حتى تفوز علي 5 مرات اجيك السافسه فايز عليك، فهمت علي؟ يقول لك بس انا قلتها اصلا
so the idea here is what Ed is trying to say is that he tries to not look at something as it's nothing is really holding him back. Is that as long as he's learning, no matter the result of a match, there's nothing that holds him back. It doesn't matter if he wins or loses, as long as he learns. There's just nothing holding him back. He can lose to someone like, let's say, Ali, for example, 5 times. It doesn't matter if he maybe wins the 6th time. Then yeah, there you have it. He's learning from previous mistakes and finally converting those mistakes into a positive. So for him, he doesn't really have something that holds him back.
There's been times where you get yourself back in from what you were doing. I know though, I don't know, you don't have a good computer, you don't have anything that you needed to do. I can understand what he's saying, but at the same time, we all do have bad times in pro wrestling. We all do have some stuff that we are dealing with through hard times, especially.
قول له اسمع عيد يجاوب على سؤالك. قول له اي شيء حزين بعدها على طول سعاده. اي شيء حزين بعدها سعاده على طول. قول له خذها قاعده، هذا قاعده عيد. اي شيء حزين على طول سعاده فرج. تصك 10 ابواب بوجهك، 50 باب بعدين تنفتح، فهمت؟ هذا قصدي.
فهمتك. So Eid here is trying to say is that he has a life, or not something, a mindset he likes to go through is that if there's a moment of sadness he goes through, then immediately there's going to be a moment of happiness for him. That's what he just wanted to say.
We all had this whole sadness thing going around for many years. Everybody has been dealing with a lot of depression, and everybody has been dealing with a lot of issues going on in their life. I know it's hard, but you got to push forward. You know what I mean, Eat?
الفكرة يعني ان هو بيقول يعني ان هو مهما حصل انت لازم تزق لقدام، يعني اللي هو انت كمل. ده اللي كان عايز يقوله.
اي يقول له طبعا تقدر تكمل، تقدر. وشوف اذا امنت بشيء وحبيت شيء حلو وحطيت هدفك حلو راح توصل له، صدقني. يوم من الايام، حتى لو يوم من الايام راح توصل له.
Mm-hmm.
بعد قول له إنسان ترى ضعيف عادي، يعني يوم يزعل يوم يستانس، حيل ضعيف يعني حيل ضعيف الإنسان، يعني عادي أضحك عليه، عادي مدري شنو، عادي سبحان الله، يعني يزعل بعد يوم الثاني يستانس بعدها ما ايش يصير، فهمت؟ ترى إنسان ضعيف حتى لو شنو، فهمت علي؟
So Eid wants to say is that no matter what, you gotta keep going. You got if you have dreams, you gotta fight for them. You gotta reach your goals. You gotta just you know do your best no matter what, so you can reach your aspirations and goals in life and in anything.
That is right. No matter what, never give up, never give
بعد
in.
نفس لا، بعد نفس الوقت حتى لو تجيك أسوأ أشياء يعني عادي، يعني شلون أقول لك، لو جتني مثلا الظرف حلو
Uh,
أقطع شوي بعدين أرجع، فهمت؟ عشان الظرف هذا
yeah,
حزين أو شيء، فهمت
yeah,
علي؟
yeah, yeah.
يعني مو
Uh,
اللي ترى أنا، يعني مثلا أنا بشري ترى أحس، فهمت علي؟
uh,
مو
uh,
مو روبوت والله خلاص يلا NPC يلا أنا خلاص أنا معضل، فهمت؟ لا يا
uh,
حبيبي، أنا ترى عندي إحساس، عندي ضمير، عندي كل شيء، بس أنا أوكي ما أقدر أتحمل مثلا يوم يومين 3 أيام، يوم السابع يروح، فهمت علي؟ قُل له كذي،
uh.
قُل له
So
مو
something can just suddenly stop him. He has to do something, sidetracks him from what he's doing, and or something comes up, some situation happens, and you just have to like stop what you're doing. That's fine. You can take a pause, relax, or take a break. But you gotta disappear or whatnot. But then you gotta come back. You gotta keep going. It doesn't matter what happens. If you want to pursue what you pursue it, you gotta reach it. So even if something happens, you can take a pause. But once that's all said and done, it's time to continue and fight on once again.
That is right. And the final question of today's podcast. It's a short one, straightforward. Like, for instance, coming from you, overcoming these years of Roblox wrestling, you being the guy with the blue attire on to who you are now. What's next for Eat? In next 10 years, who knows?
عيد، بالآخر آخر بقى سؤال يا عيد. ماذا قادم؟ إيه اللي جاي العيد؟ إيه اللي ممكن تعمله في السنين الجاية؟ ماذا قادم؟
قُل له عيد لا يعلم عن الغيب، وأنا لا أدري، ممكن بعد أسبوعين 3 أسابيع، بعد سنة 2 3 سنين ممكن أموت، أنا ما أدري شنو راح يصير، يعني أنا ما أدري شنو راح يصير لي بحياتي، أنا إنسان
آه.
بشري قاعد أعيش حياتي طبيعي، قاعد مريح موسع صدري، أصلي كل يوم، أقول لا إله إلا الله خلاص، يعني فهمت علي؟ أنا
Mhm.
ما أدري شنو
Yeah.
بيصير لي، أنا لا أعرف مصيري، أنا لا أدري شنو بيصير، أنا لو أدري
Mhm.
الحين سويت، فهمت علي؟
Mhm. So Eid says that he doesn't really know what's next. No one really knows what's next. Um, in 2 3 weeks, maybe he could end up dying.
أو قُل له
He
سنة
just
سنتين.
he yeah, أنا قلت له كده. And it can just happen. You never know what happens, what's next. So for him, he just does what he can do, prays, just lives his life, and just sees on the days go on. That because you just really don't really know what's going to happen. Because of what I said a couple of seconds ago is that eventually you can just end up dying. So yeah, that's what he wants to say.
Okay. Well, that was it, folks. Eat. If you got anything to say towards to the outro, would you be able to do it by any chance? So if wrapping this up.
عايز تقول حاجة عيد؟ حاجة كده تقفل بيها الكلام؟
والله شوف، صراحة يعني الصراحة ودي أوجه نظرتي كشخص.
Well, that was Eid's point of view as of being a person. Yeah, he's just been glad to be here. Yeah.
Hey man, and I also want to thank you, Fizo, for implying to him everything that he says. Hopefully, this was something that this episode was something that people could visualize to and understand Eight's point of view, because this was a pretty good one. Something like that I have never done in my entire life. Like interview someone who is from a different country, and then you have someone who is in that same country, and translate to everything that your friend Eid is saying is surprisingly amazing. But I gotta wrap this up here, guys. Thank you guys for watching this SVR podcast episode. If you guys like this type of podcast I'm doing, especially interviewing with people that no matter who it is, musicians, Roblox wrestlers, anyone that you think it of, everyone is always welcome aboard to the podcast to enjoy themselves, to entertain and showcase their background. Be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn notification bell on for some more videos, just so you won't miss it. Anyway, guys, it's been your boy the SVR, and we will see you guys in the next episode of the SVR podcast. See you guys around. Catch y'all into the next one.